Hello and welcome to the Week in the Middle East. I'm Karen Roberts. Coming up, Egyptian brothers divided. One supports the Muslim Brotherhood while the other backs the army. We meet the Massoud brothers in Cairo. Lost generation as 1 million child refugees flee the violence in Syria. We look at the role of education in improving their lives. And Baalbek moves to Beirut. Lebanon's top international festival scales down and leaves its spectacular ancient setting. We examine why. Today in Egypt, many families are politically divided between support for the Muslim Brotherhood and the military. Recent events since the revolution in 2011 have created a space for diametrically opposing views. Egyptians now discuss the role of democracy and how to achieve peace in their country. Few dare to testify, but our correspondents in Cairo were able to meet the Massoud brothers. Report by Selim El-Medeb and Adam Spletz.
The Massoud brothers have plenty in common. They pray in the same mosque, live in the same residence, and have set up a construction business together. One bone of contention, though, is their diametrically opposed political views. Mohammed, the elder brother, supports the military. Reda supports the Muslim Brotherhood. So when they pass graffiti calling the head of the army, General Sisi, a traitor and foreign agent, a debate immediately ensues.
People shouldn't write stuff like Sisi is a foreign agent when Sisi is the man who saved Egypt.
Sisi is not a traitor, but as a military man, he shouldn't have put himself in this situation. Sisi, did you expect it to happen this way? So many people to die like that?
Each of their meetings has a pretext for controversy. Reda insists that before General Sisi's coup, the Muslim Brotherhood were first in all the elections.
10 hours in line for the parliamentary elections, then the presidential and the constitutional referendum, and after all that you tell me it's over, the game's over?
We did not make a revolution for you to make calls to prayer in Parliament or seek to legalise the marriage of 9-year-old girls.
Regarding the hard tactics used by the military against the Muslim Brotherhood, they disagree strongly.
It takes a steady hand to disperse the rallies and regain control of the situation.
But we don't want this police state. Otherwise, there's no point in talking about revolution.
So chaos should continue?
No, but if we follow your argument, there's no revolution. Everything the Egyptians have done was for nothing.
And we're going to stay in this revolutionary situation for the rest of our lives? One demonstration after another? When will we move forward?
Why not? Look at the French Revolution.
The only thing they agree on, a common concern for Egypt's future.
Reconciliation with the Brotherhood is needed. If the army stubbornly continues, it will bring the country to disaster. These last few days, we hear there are some risks of recourse to violence, because you should know there are different factions within the Brotherhood, and the ones who are in power were the more peaceful ones.
We do not know what our fate will be, the same as Syria or Iraq. That's what scares us. For the moment, it's not about democracy or the future of the country. What matters is simply getting out of this situation without too much trouble. After that, Morsi can return, Mubarak can be released and return to power. I don't care.
Despite all their differences, the two brothers are sure that politics will not divide them as it's divided their country today.
For several days now, fighting between the army and the rebels have escalated in and around Damascus. But the inhabitants seem resolved to continue their daily life in the face of a seemingly never-ending war. This report from our special correspondents in Damascus, Antoine Mariotti and Patrick Hermanson.
It is time for prayer in the centre of Damascus. Apart from some birds and a few visitors, nobody jumps at the sound of bombings and artillery anymore. Some neighbourhoods have been spared from the fighting, but live with the constant sound of detonation. Residents like Anas have become used to it.
Just a normal feeling after 2 years, but we want to keep living, because anywhere you can have a bomb.
Anas' two nephews came from Germany to spend their holidays in the Syrian capital. But unlike their uncle, these young children still have a hard time adjusting.
sometimes when you have the bomb, the big ones and big sound, it scares a bit, but this is life.
Just a short walk from here, the Christian districts in the old town is often targeted. 4 rockets shot from the rebel districts fell on these streets within 48 hours. One of them hit the church, killing a woman.
I live in a hotel nearby, and all of a sudden I heard a woman shouting, then a lot of screaming. I asked myself, my God, what is happening? I went out and I saw it was a rocket.
100 meters further down the street, Georges was in front of his shop when a rocket hit the building opposite.
The wall up there fell. It left a hole in the roof. I hope our government will defeat these evil men, these criminals, these terrorists who strike down the civilians.
Georges returned to his shop and his daily life in the matter of hours. Like many of the people who didn't flee the city, he refuses to give way to fear when plumes of smoke darken the sky over Damascus.
Experts say it's shaping up to be a lost generation. The number of child refugees fleeing Syria's violence has now topped the 1 million mark. However, the ordeals of the children are not over once they escape their country. Once they cross the border, they're often traumatised, depressed and in need of a reason for hope. UNICEF and Save the Children say that education could be one way to make these children believe in a better future. Our correspondents went to the Zaatari refugee camp on the Syrian-Jordan border and sent us this report.
Despite being forced to flee their homes and tormented from the horrors of war, these young children at the Zaatari refugee camp in Jordan still hold on to hope. On the side of this UNICEF school, they paint the words, "Knowledge is our light."
School is the most important thing. Everyone is dead in Syria, even the doctors are dead. No one is alive. We had to leave the country to come here.
Madeleine Sawena is a Jordanian professor. She's encouraging students here to prepare for their future.
Conditions in the camp for young girls are harsh. Many are married off at the age of 14 or 15. But here, the girls know that having a diploma is a weapon that can help them later in life.
However, the 5,000 places for students in the Zaatari school are far from being met. Parents are hesitant to send their children there for several reasons, ranging from fears over their safety to necessity. Many need their children to earn money to contribute to the survival of the family. However, some young people are trying to change the attitudes of their peers.
We're girls, we can convince other girls to join us. We explain how doing their diploma is for their own good. Getting a degree can truly help your mother or your father in the future.
But it's not just their immediate families they could be helping. The UN has warned that without some sort of education, these children will be ill-equipped to bring peace and stability to their country in the future and risk becoming a lost generation.
The Baalbek International Festival opened this weekend, but this year there'll be just 3 shows in an event that used to run for weeks. Not only that, but instead of gracing the vast ancient temples of Baalbek, the festival has moved to Beirut. Baalbek is in the Bekaa Valley, just across the border from the war in Syria, and it was dragged into the violence there when rockets landed on the city in June. This wasn't the first time violence has overshadowed the festival, which launched in the 1950s. Lucy Fielder reports.
During the summer festival, Baalbek's ancient walls echo with music. But this year, instability is scaring off visitors. It's nearly closing time, and this is Hussein Uta's first tour group of the day. Even so, he can scarcely believe the Baalbek festival is moving to Beirut.
The festival should be held where it belongs, in Baalbek, so you can see the grandeur of the buildings at the same time. It's like a great stage set. Baalbek at night has its own unique atmosphere. It's magic.
Egyptian legend Kulthum graced the temple's stage during the heyday of the Middle East's oldest festival. So did jazz greats Ella Fitzgerald and Miles Davis. Baalbek propelled Lebanese diva Fayrouz to stardom. But this summer, Baalbek drew the world's gaze for all the wrong reasons. Hezbollah holds sway here. Many of the Bekaa Valley town's sons died fighting for the party in nearby Syria. In revenge, rockets were fired on Baalbek from the mountains above. Organisers decided the show must go on, but instead of Baalbek Temple, in this old silk mill in Beirut.
Rockets fell near the temple, and it's not at all far from the Syrian border. So we decided to move to Beirut and bring something of Baalbek's spirit with us, to send a message to the world. Lebanon is not dying.
The ruins may be just a photograph, but the icon on stage is real enough. Lebanese oud master Marcel Khalifi is one of the Arab world's most revered composers, known for setting revolutionary poems to music. He believes Lebanon needs such cultural events now more than ever.
Music is a balm for the soul, and especially in a region where many wars and battles are taking place. I imagine that tonight's concerts will give people a little hope that life is still beautiful.
No towering ruins, no desert stars, but enough magic to make Lebanon's troubles seem far away, at least for tonight.
And that's all we have time for, but do join us again next week for more. Bye for now.